The story begins with a teenager standing alone in a dimly lit, cluttered house. The faint glow of his cell phone's flashlight casts eerie shadows on the walls as he surveys his surroundings. He thinks to himself that this place is seriously creepy. However, he supposes he can't expect too much from an old building within running distance. After all, it's not as if any tragic events or deaths have occurred there. As he takes in the building's entirety, he thinks to himself that he needs to stop associating every old place with being haunted and get out of there. As he continues to explore, he thinks to himself that once he starts high school, he'll have the freedom to venture further and visit truly renowned places. Meanwhile, on the roadside, a commotion catches his attention. A young girl with short hair is yelling at another girl, her voice laced with distress. She accuses the other girl of suffocating her, clearly frustrated that her feelings aren't being acknowledged. The other girl attempts to respond, but the angry girl cuts her off, her voice escalating in anger. She orders the girl to stop trying to talk back. The girl stands there, her face gloomy, as she endures the angry girl's verbal barrage. She hates the way the girl looks at her, a cold, grim stare that makes her skin crawl. The girl's grating voice is like nails on a chalkboard, and her words are laced with venom. The angry girl's hostility is overwhelming, and she brutally declares that the girl's very existence depresses her. The angry girl's verbal assault continues, her tone dripping with malice. She asks if she really needs to spell out her grievances for the other girl. The victim girl responds nervously, her voice shaking as she protests that the angry girl's words are incredibly mean, insisting that she never intended to cause harm. The angry girl's expression twists in disdain as she retorts, her voice rising in anger. She accuses the target girl of playing the victim, and then presses her again, demanding to know if she doesn't think there's a reason why she's being treated this harshly. The victim girl, her face sweaty with anxiety, looks up at the angry girl, who sneers at her and demands to know what's wrong with her. Just then, a scary face suddenly appears beside the angry girl, causing her to let out a terrified yell. She turns and sprints away in fear. As the boy watches her flee, he removes his mask, revealing his mischievous grin. He laughs, clearly amused by the angry girl's hasty retreat. He can't believe the angry girl fell for such an old prank. The mask, which he keeps handy to hide his face in a pinch, had done its job perfectly. As he puts the mask away, the victim girl and the boy lock eyes, and he apologizes for intervening. He feels a pain of regret for stepping in, but explains that he didn't know what had happened between the two girls, and it seemed like the angry girl was taking things too far. The victim girl gazes at him with wonder, her expression softening as she asks if he's really trying to help her. He nods, a hint of a smile on his face, and wonders if he should have just minded his own business instead. She quickly shakes her head, clarifying that she's grateful for his help. She's happy he'd go out of his way to assist her, and her voice is filled with gratitude. As they stand there, a sense of connection grows between them. She looks at him with newfound curiosity. She wants to know more about this boy who intervened on her behalf, and so she asks for his name. The boy's expression turns puzzled as he responds, downplaying the significance of his actions. He insists it's no big deal, then turns to Lee, advising her to be careful on her way home. Before she can stop him, he takes off in a sprint. She stands there, watching as he disappears into the distance. Her eyes remain fixed on the spot where he vanished, a mix of confusion and curiosity on her face. The boy runs until his legs give out, his heart pounding as exhaustion overtakes him. A wave of relief washes over him. The rush of adrenaline and thrill of escape bring fleeting euphoria, but a pain of dissatisfaction lingers, as it's still not the same. As he reflects on his encounter with the girl, he recalls her question. What's his name? While taking a refreshing sip of water, he silently responds to his own query. He is 15 years old, a third-year student in middle school, and his name is Haruka Kawatsuji. He's a track and field athlete with a passion for horror. He thinks to himself that's how he would introduce himself to others, at least. His gaze drifts upward, and he finds himself lost in the vast expanse of the sky. A sense of melancholy washes over him as he thinks that nothing ever changes. His mind begins to wander, and he recalls a childhood memory, a terrifying fall off a balcony. He had been so small, and his curiosity had gotten the better of him. While his mother's attention was diverted, he had unlocked the window, climbed onto the handrail, and slipped, plummeting toward the ground. A miracle of sorts occurred, and a tree broke his fall, sparing him from serious injury. At least that's what he was told. The truth is, he doesn't recall much of the incident beyond the sensation of weightlessness. All he remembers is the rush of his heart pounding in his chest. In that fleeting instant, he felt an overwhelming sense of exhilaration, as if he had been born for that precise moment. His mother, her face etched with worry, warns him to stay away from anything that could lead to another fall. He promises to obey, and that single rule becomes the only one his kind-hearted mother ever imposes on him. As he grows older, he discovers a new thrill, racing others. The rush of adrenaline as his heart pounds in his chest is exhilarating. He loves the feeling of his heart racing. People often whisper about monsters lurking in dark places, and he can't help but wonder if he ever encounters one. Will it give him the scare he craves? As he gazes up at the sky, he realizes that the memories of that day still echo within him, like a primal instinct that refuses to fade. The lingering adrenaline rush after a run, the dread that seeps in while watching horror movies, all these sensations are mere imitations, feeble attempts to cling to that primordial sound. Yet time marches on, shrouded in a hazy mist that fills his days. Reality feels distant, a blur that he can't quite grasp. As he gazes up at the sky, he can't help but wonder if he'll ever experience that same rush again. 6 months later, he stands in his new classroom at Mitsuji Middle School, introducing himself to his classmates. He takes his seat, his mind wandering to the fact that before he knew it, he was already in high school. He can't help but think that he'll just keep repeating the same phrase for every stage of his life, again and again, as the days blend in an endless cycle. Lost in thought, he's suddenly jolted back to reality as a girl introduces herself to the class. She's from Mirai Girls' Middle School, named Kasaki Tokano. The entire class, including him, turns to look at her. As their eyes meet, he's taken aback, wondering how they ended up at the same school. She notices his surprise and walks over to him, a warm smile on her face. She thinks it's a coincidence that they're attending the same school and is glad about it. She also feels grateful and has been wanting to thank him properly. He mentions that after what happened that day, he never expected to interact with her again. He's glad things took a positive turn for her, but he feels he didn't do much to deserve her. She grows flustered, her face reflecting her panic, as she hastens to explain that her comment wasn't meant to be taken seriously. She suggests that maybe there's a reason behind these unusual coincidences. He reassures her that there's no need to be so flustered. Just then, as they eat lunch in class, a classmate approaches him and says he's quite the sly one. He asks the classmate what he's talking about, but the classmate, visibly irritated, blurts out that it's about Tokano-chan and points out that the school year has barely begun, yet the two of them are already so close. The boy retorts that he has still never had a genuine conversation with a girl, which prompts another boy to chime in, labeling him as being consumed by jealousy. The accusation clearly strikes a nerve, and the angry boy abruptly gets up, Haruka announcing that he is going to refill his water bottle. As he walks away, the angry boy yells after him, accusing him of pretending to be innocent, his voice dripping with resentment. As he heads to refill his glass, the angry boy turns to another classmate and asks if it's true that he's always effortlessly charming around girls, making it seem like an everyday thing for him. The classmate nods in response, saying that he's always been like that, even back in middle school. He adds that despite being a good guy and friendly too, there's always been something about him that seems a bit distant, as if his mind is elsewhere. He also mentions that he's the kind of guy who would not surprise anyone if he'd just up and vanish one day. The other fellow chimes in, adding that honestly, he sometimes finds himself wishing the world would just go up in flames whenever something bad happens to him. Meanwhile, as he refills his water, he can't help but think to himself that acting like it's got nothing to do with him is a facade he's all too familiar with. As he stands there, lost in thought, he thinks to himself that he really means it. It's not like he's trying to be cool or anything. It's just that a girl staring his way from afar genuinely doesn't faze him. He guesses that's supposed to make his heart race. No wonder he comes off as a little blaze, he muses. Just then, his reverie is interrupted by the sound of water spilling from his glass, which he'd been refilling absent-minded. He mutters to himself that it's too much. He then turns to leave, walking home with his friend, who had been waiting for him. As they approach the bus stop, the girl waves goodbye to him, and he responds with a wave of his own. As her bus pulls away, his friend turns to him and remarks that seeing someone off at the bus stop is a level of intimacy that goes beyond mere friendship. He shrugs it off, explaining that she had asked him to wait with her and decides his bus wasn't due to arrive for a while yet. His friend raises an eyebrow, saying that's not what he's talking about. Just then, a girl approaches him and greets him, asking if he has a minute to spare. His friend's eyes widen in surprise and he teases him, saying that he's got girls from other schools chasing after him, too. With a hint of mock seriousness, his friend adds that he doesn't remember raising him to be such a ladies' man. The boy smirks, firing back that he doesn't recall his friend raising him at all. He turns his attention to the girl, who tells him that she made sure the other girl had already gone home. She then asks if he'd mind speaking with her alone, and he agrees. Together, they walk towards the botanical garden. She reveals that she's been searching for him around the school gates every day, but only just discovered his identity from his conversation at the bus stop. He looks at her with a hint of confusion, wondering if they'd met before, and also expresses his skepticism about the purpose of their conversation. She tells him to stay away from Kasaki Takana. They had sat next to each other in middle school when they changed classes, and she had tried to talk to her, but it wasn't anything significant or out of the ordinary. She continues, explaining that she had taken a real liking to her. She seems nice, and it was surprising to hear that she doesn't have any friends. Given how talkative she is, she finds her pretty cute. She recounts how, the next day, she comes up to her and says that she has changed her shampoo, and that it is the same one that she uses. This revelation shocks her, and she asks her if she has ever told her about her shampoo. She describes how, on the next day, as she opens the door to her home, she is already waiting outside, greeting her good morning and telling her to get going to school. She asks her how long she has been waiting outside her door. In response, she explains that they are friends, and it is natural for her to wait. The next day, she confronts her, saying she has spent time with another girl the day before, and wonders if she is just that replaceable. She replies, asking her not to put it that way, and assuring her that she is a dear friend. In response, expecting exclusive attention, she addresses her affectionately as Rinko-chan. As their eyes meet, she recalls trying to let her down gently, but ending up saying something hurtful instead. She also clarifies that she's unsure if her approach was effective, but after the incident that day, she made a conscious effort to maintain her distance. He suddenly recalls that particular evening. She confides in him that she had a nagging sense of unease when she learned that the girl would be taking entrance exams for a different high school, but she assumed that her attention had shifted to someone else. He responds by asking if she's implying that he's the one responsible, and also expresses his frustration, stating that she can't simply appear out of nowhere and expect him to distance himself from the other girl. He then questions her, asking if she has any evidence to support her claim that she's the one who's been wronged. She retreats her phone and shows him, apologizing and explaining that she hadn't wanted him to see the disturbing content. He scrutinizes the entire conversation thread, and then she inquires if he needs to revisit memories of their past friendship by showing him photographs. In response, he declines, saying he's satisfied, and proposes that they assume her alleged obsession is genuine. He then poses a question, asking if she would really alter her academic trajectory solely to attend the same high school as him. He presses further, inquiring how she would even be aware of his educational plans. She confidently asserts that she would know, and elaborates that, having personally experienced similar situations, she possesses absolute certainty. She assures him that if she were using a coincidence as a pretext to get close to him, she can confidently attest that it was anything but a mere coincidence. He inquires as to why she's divulging this information to him. He presses her further, asking why she would go to such great lengths to observe him when the mere thought of it clearly unsettles her. She confesses that, although it may seem like an unusual perspective, she feels liberated now that she's revealed her true feelings to him. She adds that she felt compelled to warn him at the very least. Unbeknownst to them, Kasaki Tokano has been eavesdropping on their conversation from a distance. The following day, during class, he approaches her and asks if he can have a word with her. He explains that there's a matter they need to discuss. As they step aside to talk, he hesitates, unsure of how to phrase his question. Then he asks her if she'd like to go out with him. Her face registers shock, and he quickly adds that she's under no obligation to accept if she's not interested. She responds by saying that she never said she wasn't. Then she inquires about his motivations, wondering if he's aware of what he's getting himself into. She reflects that once she starts, she can't stop. He locks eyes with her, and his initial impression is confirmed. She, on the other hand, is consumed by her love for him. He thinks to himself that she has the power to stir his heart with a primal intensity that pale imitations can't replicate. Her unbridled, unpredictable, and unconventional affection is authentic, and that's what makes it potent. He can barely contain his excitement. As he thanks her, she, with light sparkling in her eyes, also responds with thanks. As he steps out of his home, he gazes up at the sky and reflects on the serene atmosphere. The warm sunlight and the muted hum of the streets below create an illusion of an ordinary day. But he knows better. Having acquired a girlfriend has transformed his life, and he can't help but feel that something extraordinary is unfolding. This feeling is reinforced as he exits the elevator and catches sight of her, the girl who has brought about this change. What's more, her presence sparks his curiosity, as he notes that she seems to know his address, despite him never sharing it with her. He recalls the words of Rinko, who had described her as a girl with a volatile and obsessive personality, capable of inspiring regret in those who dared to interact with her. However, he reflects that it was precisely this unconventional and all-consuming nature of hers that had sparked his interest and provided the thrill he had been seeking. He notices that her home is actually in the opposite direction from their school. He wonders how long she has been waiting there for him. She reveals to him that it took her a while to arrive at his location. She also mentioned that she had managed to guess his departure time, so she hadn't been waiting for too long. He is taken aback by her casual admission, realizing that she has effortlessly figured out his daily schedule. He thinks to himself that, although she can have discovered his address by following him home just once, it's unlikely that she could have gathered such detailed information in just a day. The words of her friend come flooding back to his mind. She had told him that, after the incident, she had never approached her again. He thinks to himself that it all makes sense now, all this time. She had been secretly harboring her feelings without the slightest hesitation. He ponders the idea that she may have been nurturing seeds of a love that might have otherwise gone unanswered. Her voice interrupts his reverie, reminding him to head to the bus stop to avoid being late. As they walk together, he recalls the warning from her friend, who had cautioned him that she would be holding nothing back from the outset. He notices her intense, unwavering gaze and thinks she's truly going all out. Her frozen stare, unblinking, leaves him unsure how to react. Yet despite the unease, he's strangely drawn to it and to the way she unsettles him. He confesses that her intense stare is honestly a bit embarrassing. Her demeanor suddenly shifts, and she becomes flustered. She assures him that she didn't mean to make him uncomfortable. She explains that she was thinking that they are officially a couple now. He recalls their previous conversation, where she had asked to start dating the next day. He mentions that he hadn't asked for an explanation at the time, but his curiosity has been piqued again. She reveals that it wasn't right yet. She had been worried that everything would be wasted if they started dating yesterday, as something unpleasant happened. He looks at her with a questioning expression, prompting her to elaborate. She clarified that she needed time to prepare herself. She shares that when she woke up that morning, she hadn't expected him to confess his feelings to her later that day. In fact, she had been feeling down. She thought it would be lovely to start her special day on a positive note. He nods understandingly, saying he gets it, and she adds that there's something that has been on her mind, too. He asks what it's about, however. She hesitates, mentioning she suddenly remembers that she has some commitments after school and apologizes, saying they won't be able to head home together that day. He reassures her that whatever she has planned, they'll have plenty of opportunities to spend time together in the future. Rinko is engrossed in a phone conversation, assuring the person on the other end that she's on her way back and will send a message once she's home. As she hangs up, Tokana suddenly appears, catching her off guard. Her eyes widen in shock, and Tokana questions her about the last time they met. She answers they haven't seen each other since graduation. Her expression turns inquisitive as she asks about her actions 2 days prior. Rinko, puzzled, asks how she knows. Tokana replies, admitting she was even more shocked than Rinko is now. She explains that she hasn't done anything out of the ordinary. She has simply boarded the bus and scans the crowd to find Haruka. However, instead of finding him alone, she has stumbled upon her trying to talk to him. Fortunately, the next station is just a short distance away. She continues to explain that she managed to keep track of her as she walks straight down the road and into the park. As she listens to her words, a drop of sweat forms on her face, her mind racing with the realization that she must have overheard their conversation. This thought triggers a memory of how she had warned him, and if so, That would explain why she had come to talk to her. She feels a sense of unease, wondering what her intentions are. However, her curiosity is met with a bright and cheerful expression as she reveals that she has come to express her gratitude. However, her words only serve to shock her further. The girl's expression remains cheerful as she reveals that he had confessed his feelings to her the previous day, and now they are happily dating. She acknowledges that regardless of her actions, she owes her gratitude for the way things have turned out. Her confusion deepens as she tries to process this unexpected revelation. She asks her to hold on, seeking clarification on the situation. It becomes clear that her actions had been intended to keep him away, which makes it even more surprising that things turned out this way, a fact that she herself finds strange. She reassures her that she knows she's a kind girl who acted with the best of intentions, and ultimately, everything worked out for the best. Tokana takes a step closer, her eyes locking onto hers, adding as she was going to take any action she would have yesterday when she was prepared and ready. However, it didn't come to that, so she can put her mind at ease. She is here today simply because she wanted to express her gratitude. He sits on the couch watching a horror movie on TV. Despite his good mood, he can't help but think that movie is still boring. Just as he's about to nod off, his mobile phone rings. He glances at the screen and sees Rinko's name flashing. The sight of her name instantly brings back memories of when they exchanged numbers, and he recalls how she had told him to let her know if he ever needed help. As soon as he answers the call, she unleashes a furious shout. She demands to know what she's heard about him dating Tokana. Her anger is palpable as she reveals that she encountered the girl on her way home today and was told everything. Her indignation boils over as she asks him why he did the exact opposite of what she had advised him to do. He attempts to placate her, addressing her by her first name and urging her to calm down. However, this only seems to fuel her irritation. She is annoyed that he is calling her by her first name. He explains to her that he had a classmate in middle school with the same surname, which made using her first name feel awkward. She dismisses his concern, telling him to just use her surname instead, and adds that he should give her a break. She asks him what drew him to her, and he responds by asking what she means. She reminds him of her previous warning that getting involved with her would only lead to trouble. He acknowledges her warning, but reveals that it's precisely her troublesome nature and unpredictability that captivated him. He finds himself irresistibly drawn to her because of the excitement and intrigue she brings. While thinking of her, he says he knows she wouldn't be able to take her eyes off of him either. He shares his observation that she pours her heart and soul into everything she does, giving every ounce of emotion she has, which makes him wonder if that's not the kind of girlfriend anyone would want. She quickly responds with a firm no, her unease evident. She doesn't understand what he's saying, nor does she see where he's coming from, which leads her to reiterate that she thinks he is just as weird. He gently counters her criticism, thinking that it might be going a little far. However, she sighs, feeling that her efforts to warn him away from her have been wasted. He reassures her that her efforts are not wasted, as she helped him learn a lot about her, and he thanks her for her concern. This seems to ease her tension, and her tone shifts as she acknowledges that he and she might be made for each other after all, as Takano had also said something similar. With her curiosity satisfied, she ends the conversation, leaving him to ponder their discussion. As he reflects on their conversation, he starts to piece together the subtle cues he picked up on. The way she changed how she referred to her, her overreaction to being called by her name, and the question that sounded like it was for someone else. All these things lead him to a surprising conclusion. He acknowledges that he didn't want to believe it, but guesses it's true. He realizes that she was there, using her to uncover the truth behind his unexpected confession. Once he understood her intentions, he knew he couldn't give her the response she was hoping for. Despite this, he reflects on the fact that what he did say was completely genuine. He adds that he was as sincere as he could be, and that his words were 100% true. Meanwhile, Rinko asks her if her plan was successful. She responds that the outcome was a little unexpected, but now she knows how he feels. Rinko is curious about what she means by unexpected. She thinks he might have realized that she was listening in the moment the call came through. She is happy that he confessed to her, but she still finds it odd, adding that normally one would expect him to react the way she did. She explains that she gets worried and decides to check if he has some ulterior motive. However, she happily reports that he sees through her lapse in faith and even eases her worries, which comes as a pleasant surprise. As she shares her thoughts, she reveals that all of this is like a dream come true for someone like her. Listening to her admission, Rinko then asks a pointed question. If he knows, can't he have just made it up? She responds to her question with a nonchalant attitude, saying that she doesn't really mind either way. Even if he doesn't actually mean it, she's willing to accept it as true if it works out for her. With a happy face, she declares that she'll be his number one, even if it's only for a while. She finds this arrangement good enough for her for now. She also confesses that she do want to know how he truly feels about her, but she's just being greedy. She lets out a laugh, revealing her carefree nature. As she listens to her, she thinks to herself that they have connected with each other in a way that she will never fully comprehend. Just as she is lost in thought, her friend interrupts her, suggesting that they should hang out more as she is the only friend with whom she can discuss him, and adds that it's time for some girl talk. This seemingly innocuous conversation, however, marks the beginning of a new chapter, one that unwittingly signals the start of Rinko's suffering once again, now that they have officially started dating. Now that they've started dating, the brakes are off, and she's eager to spend more time with him. In the classroom, she walks up to him and asks if she can go to his place after school. He's taken aback, surprised that she wants to go to his place. She explains that she wants their first after-school date to be somewhere special, especially since they couldn't hang out the day before. His reaction suggests that he's not used to these kinds of things. As she looks at him, she thinks to herself that she did get to hear his voice through the phone yesterday. Meanwhile, he's also pretty sure she was on the other end of that call. He agrees to her suggestion, and his response brings a smile to her face, filling her with happiness. As they walk towards the door of his home, he tells her that he feels kind of bad seeing her all excited, since it's just a regular home. She reassures him with a smile, saying that she'd rather see it how it usually is anyway. And he can't help but feel relieved. As they enter the home, he calls out to his mom, letting her know that he's home. His mother, who's busy cleaning, welcomes him warmly. When he tells her to leave her shoes there, his mother realizes that he's not alone and asks if he's brought a friend. She apologizes for not being more prepared, saying that he should have let her know so she could have cleaned up. However, as she looks at the girl, both exchange a surprised glance and recognize each other. The tension is broken when his mother starts chatting with him, reminding him of a fond memory. She tells him that half a year ago, she had her hands full when her bicycle fell over, but then this girl came to her rescue. His mother continues, mentioning that after the bicycle incident, they kept bumping into each other weirdly often. She praises her, saying that she's a wonderful girl who never hesitates to lend a helping hand. She thanks her and expresses her surprise at discovering that she is his mother. Despite sharing the same last name, she had never made the connection. She smiles and remarks on the strange coincidence. His mother's seemingly oblivious to the underlying dynamics. However, as he listens to the conversation, he can't shake off the feeling that everything was deliberate from start to finish. He looks at her, thinking to himself that she's certainly covered her bases. He's shocked that she would even go after his parents, and a sense of unease settles in. His mother breaks the silence, asking if she's just come over to hang out, adding that it's not often that he brings a girl home, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. He hesitantly tells his mother that she's his girlfriend, the words feeling almost surreal. His mother's expression changes to one of shock, and he quickly adds that she said she wanted to come over, trying to diffuse the tension. His mother turns to him, asking if he's really going to ignore just how shocking this revelation is. He nervously admits that it feels awkward making a big announcement out of this, but his mother presses him to take it seriously and consider how his girlfriend feels. She reassures her that it's okay, and she doesn't mind seemingly diffusing the tension. His mother can't help but laugh at the unexpected turn of events, teasing him about having a girlfriend. She's surprised by how quickly he settled down. As they prepare to head to his room, his mother apologizes for keeping them and tells them to go ahead, saying she'll just stay out of their way. As they stand up to leave, his mother stops him and whispers that she is a good girl, so he needs to take care of her. He rolls his eyes, feeling that his mother's advice is unnecessary. His mother's words leave him feeling a bit uneasy. He thinks to himself that she already has his mother wrapped around her finger, and he feels like he's getting tied up in her web. As they enter his room, she excitedly starts exploring, taking in every detail. He watches her, amused, and wonders if his room is really that interesting. Her enthusiasm is infectious, but he can't shake off the feeling that something is off. She responds to this question with an active affirmation, revealing that even she couldn't get into his room until now. He thinks to himself that her comment has a stalker-like quality to it, but he doesn't say anything out loud. Just then, his mother calls out from the door, announcing that she's made some snacks for them. She asks him to come out and get them, and he comments that his mother is really going all out. He then heads out of the room, telling her to wait and make herself at home. When he reaches the kitchen, his mother asks how things are going. He replies that she has only just seen his room, and they haven't done anything yet. But as he thinks about her, he can't shake the feeling that she's definitely up to something. He wonders if there's a reason she wants to come to his house, and if there's something in his room that she's after. He considers the possibility that she might be interested in his computer, but thinks that there's nothing too interesting on there. Still, he's not sure what kind of information she might be looking for. With a sense of trepidation, he kicks open the door of his room, startling her. He enters the room to find her sitting on his bed, looking up with a startled expression. Approaching, he asks what she's doing. Nervously, she explains she was just touching and sniffing the bed to get a sense of it. He raises an eyebrow, amused by her candid admission. Her apology is met with reassurance, as he tells her she doesn't have to apologize. He's left speechless, genuinely perplexed by her behavior. She then poses a question, asking if he can be his authentic self when he's asleep. Her inquiry leaves him momentarily stunned. She touches the bed again, reflecting on its significance as a place where he can let his guard down. She contemplates whether she can provide a similar sense of comfort and security for him. Ignoring her comment, he confesses that he's not really sure what to do at home with a girl over, feeling a bit out of his element. She reassures him not to overthink it, saying that she doesn't mind just hanging out. She asks him what he normally does with his friends, trying to put him at ease. He explains that he usually plays co-op games with his friends, whatever is popular at the time. He also mentions that he enjoys horror games, but most of his friends don't share the same interest, so he often compromises. He gets up to turn on the console, but realizes that it's powered off, which surprises him since he thought he had put it into sleep mode last time. She suggests watching a movie instead, asking if there's one that he's watched a lot. He mentions that he had rented a bunch of horror movies, but admits that some of them are probably not very good. He thinks it might be fun to watch them and poke fun at their flaws. She agrees, and they settle in to watch a movie together. As she prepares to leave, his mother asks if she has everything she needs and invites her to come back whenever she likes. She thanks her and expresses her gratitude. He apologizes to her for spending the day just watching movies, feeling that he could have planned something more exciting. However, his mother intervenes, teasing him about making a rookie mistake and implying that he still has a lot to learn about relationships. His mother then offers some words of wisdom, telling them that what's truly important is making memories together. She explains that all their experiences, whether good or bad, will help lay the foundation for their shared history. She reassures them that even a clumsy home date can be a valuable and memorable experience, adding spice to their relationship. As they prepare to part ways, she tells his mother that she understands how she feels and treasures every moment she spends with him. She praises his mother, saying that she's friendly, kind, and an incredible parent, which makes his mother feel appreciated. The two share a warm hug, but he can't help but think that she is just trying to butter his mother up. His mother apologizes for getting emotional, and she responds that she's just a little surprised. However, he feels she seems genuinely sincere, which makes him wonder why he thinks that way. As she leaves, his mother promises to have her favorite dish ready for her next visit. Once she's gone, his mother asks him to tell her all about their relationship. He teases his mother, saying that she's clearly having fun with this new development. Unbeknownst to them, his girlfriend is listening in on their conversation through a hidden earpiece. She hears his mother ask if it was love at first sight, given how cute his girlfriend is. He responds that he doesn't know, but he felt a special connection with her. His mother is taken aback by his romantic words, which she didn't expect him to say. As she walks away, she realizes that the wireless earpiece can only pick up signals from a certain distance. She's relieved that she had planned ahead and planted a bug in his room that was disguised as a plug. However, she admits to herself that she didn't think to check the console that was plugged in, and she was too caught up in the excitement of making it into his room. Despite this oversight, she considers the day a great success, having gained his mother's trust and learned more about him. She looks forward to continuing her mission and gathering more information. He wakes up startled, his face sweaty, and wonders if the disturbing scene he just witnessed was just a dream. As he tries to shake off the feeling of unease, he hears her cheerful voice greeting him good morning. At school, she asks him if they can have lunch together. He looks at her, thinking that she seems awfully relaxed after the stunt she pulled that morning. She apologizes for scaring him, explaining that she just wanted to watch him sleep. As he reflects on the incident, he thinks that the trick she used to break into his room was actually clever. She had arrived at his house early in the morning, claiming they had morning practice for a pee competition. His mom then told her that she could try waking him up by herself, and in the end, his mom had let her into his room. He's still trying to wrap his head around how easily she manipulated the situation. He recalls her telling him that she didn't even get a chance to use the excuse she had come up with to get into his room. He finds himself more unsettled by his mom's nonchalance, as if she's entirely oblivious to his girlfriend breaking into his room. Just as they are about to go eat lunch, a girl named Sakurako appears, addressing him by his first name and smiling brightly. He asks her if she needs Tokano for something. She replies that she needs to ask her something, and Tokano agrees to listen. In the corridor, she turns to Tokano and introduces herself, explaining that she is from class 1 to 3 and attended the same middle school as Haruka, mentioning it's nice to meet her. Tokano politely introduces herself in return, saying her name and adding that it's nice to meet her too. Her demeanor changes, and she asks her to loosen up, saying she just has a quick question. She inquires about how she has been hanging with Haruka lately and wonders how they became friends. She replies that they are not friends exactly, but they are dating. This news shocks her, and with disbelief, she states that she can't believe he left her behind and started dating some other girl. She asks her what's so hard to believe, and she starts rambling that throughout middle school, grade school, kindergarten, and even before then she has always been the center of attention whenever she is gone. Boys wanted her, girls wanted to be her. She was a natural-born charmer, always the center of attention, with everyone following her lead. Listening to her chatter makes Tokano sleepy, noticing that she yells at her to at least pretend to listen. Tokano dryly observes that she had thought they were discussing Haruka, but instead she had launched into a lengthy and tedious monologue about herself. She responds, saying that she is getting to the point. As she continued, she explained that in middle school, she had met Haruka, and his complete lack of interest in her had left her feeling utterly smitten. Determined to capture his attention, she had set herself a goal to win him over and make him hers. However, Tokano notes that instead of achieving her goal, she had ended up falling deeply in love with him. She acknowledged this, explaining that he was different from other boys, as he never tried to flatter her, and she had come to realize that his honest and genuine personality was exactly what she had been looking for in a partner. Skeptical, she admits that this is why she is still not convinced that the two of them are actually dating. She asks with sparkling eyes if she is going to claim that a late bloomer like him would date a girl he hardly knows the minute he gets into high school. She seriously doubts there is any actual romance between them, wondering if she is sure she didn't just get the wrong idea. She also points out that they both call each other by their surname, which doesn't exactly scream intimacy. She replies that he definitely said they are dating. The girl presses on, asking if he has ever done anything remotely boyfriend-like, such as kissing, hugging, or even giving her a present. She answers that he hasn't. The girl smirks and says she thinks as much. She then declares that it is clear her relationship with him is far closer than Tokano's. She points to her head, where she is wearing a scrunchie, and reveals that it is a present he got for her when they hung out. She smugly adds that she is the first girl he has ever done something like that for, and that he told her so himself, implying she's clearly trailing behind. Tokano sneers, prompting her to ask what's so funny. She replies that she's impressed by all her hot air, implying that her claims seem exaggerated. She asks her what she means by hot air, and she replies in detail. She explains that it was at the post-graduation party that she dragged him out alone and made him buy the scrunchie for her as a graduation memento. She points out that it's quite the same as getting it as a present, and asks her if she doesn't think so. Listening to the truth, her eyes widen in surprise, and she asks her how she knows this. She further explains that she would wager that the first-name basis is something she started, counting that he doesn't usually initiate familiarity. She adds that he doesn't tend to resist things he doesn't really care about, suggesting that he's not invested in their relationship. Listening to all of this, she tells her that she's only just met him, so she shouldn't act like she knows him and overstep her boundaries. She confidently replies that she does know him and has been watching him all this time, remembering his every single step. This revelation leaves her surprised and taken aback. She begins to tell her that earlier she had described him as honest, but he's not as pure as she seems to think. She also criticizes her for having the nerve to call her surface-level interactions a close relationship. However, she expresses her desire to truly understand who he is, without projecting her own fantasies onto him. She declares that the only thing she wants from him is to be his number one, and that's it. She assures her that she will accept whatever he wants her to, and that's what their relationship means to her. With that, she turns to leave, asking her if they're done. She also adds that if she is trying to intimidate her with her words, she is wasting her time. With a confident stride, she leaves her standing still behind her. His mobile rings, and as he receives the call, he inquires about her girlfriend's whereabouts, sparking a conversation that reveals her girlfriend's unsettling behavior. She mentions that his girlfriend is totally crazy and seems to know exactly where he's been, suggesting that she might be secretly wiretapping or filming him. He explains that he wouldn't be surprised if she did it, adding it's kind of like an unspoken agreement, and that it would feel wrong to overreact, implying that he's grown accustomed to her girlfriend's antics. They both knew she would try to pull something when they started dating, highlighting the predictable nature of her behavior. He finds the situation amusing, laughing that there's not much point in restating the obvious. As the conversation comes to a close, she apologizes for bothering him and drops the call. She feels a surge of anger and wonders how she has been left outside the loop, feeling frustrated and confused by the dynamics of their relationship. As he drops the call, she approaches him and asks if he's already eaten, seamlessly transitioning into a casual conversation. He replies that he was about to give up waiting and eat something now, and he inquires about her plans, noting that they don't have much time. He suggests that they go to the canteen, given their time constraint. She asks if there's anything specific he'd like her to do, showing her willingness to accommodate his needs. He looks at her and thinks to himself that he'd like her to continue surprising him with her unique perspective, just as she did that morning. However, he decides it's better not to express this desire, as it would lose its charm if she were to deliberately try to surprise him. Instead, he asks her where her earlier comment came from, assuring her that he's fine with her just the way she is. She laughs and agrees, and they continue walking together, looking like two peas in a pod. Their conversation flows effortlessly, and they seem to be in perfect sync with each other. In the classroom, her classmates can't help but notice the change in her. One of the boys comments that she's sparkling and notes that she's cuter than usual, which sparks a conversation among her classmates. Another remarks that she has the face of a girl in love, and elaborates that radiating the warmth of having found that special someone is part of what it means to be a woman, showcasing his surprisingly insightful perspective. A boy teases his classmates, saying he doesn't know anything about women, adding a light-hearted touch to the conversation. Someone asks Haruka that he knows anything about this, and he reveals that they started dating, which sends shockwaves through the group. This news hits the group like a bombshell, and they eagerly await more details. He shares that he confessed to her, and she said yes, beaming with happiness. His friend asks what happened to the loveless Haruka they used to know, noting that he's never been interested in anyone until now, highlighting the significant change in his behavior. He simply shrugs and says that it just kind of clicked, leaving his friends intrigued by the mystery of his newfound love. Confused, his friend asks what he means. One of the boys suddenly exclaims that he understands, and begins explaining that power strong enough to break down his patterns and principles can only be the work of fate. The other boys respond with amusement, noting that this new gag suits him. Another boy chimes in that he doubts he ever actually thinks about the things he says. His thoughts drift back to her, and he remarks that a lie has turned into truth. One of the boys notices a change in him, and comments that he seems different, and has been looking pretty energized recently. He adds that he guesses he never noticed that he and his girlfriend were dating because they both have a messed up sense of distance anyway. The conversation takes a turn when one of the boys mentions that his new relationship will make for a good conversation after school. He has plans with his friends from middle school, who will be shocked to hear that Haruka has a girlfriend. The other boys are impressed that he still hangs out with his friends from middle school, and one of them admits that he barely remembers anyone from that time. One of the boys jokingly asks if he hit his head or something, and he explains that their group's organizer, a girl, had set up the gathering, and that she's always been good at bringing people together. He heads to the library, where he finds her struggling to put a book on a high shelf. He rushes over to help her, and she thanks him, apologizing for not being able to do it herself. He reassures her not to sweat it, saying they got to help each other out. This small act of kindness brings a smile to her face. He playfully suggests that he might let her handle the next desk shift on her own as payment. She laughs, agreeing that sounds about right. He offers to put the book back on the shelf for her. As he replaces the book, he curiously asks what's on her mind. She confesses that she's not sure, but it feels nice to be in the library. The quiet atmosphere seems to have a calming effect on her. She suggests that they visit a public library after school, where they can recommend books to each other and enjoy some quiet time together. He replies that sounds great, bringing her joy, but asks if they can do it another day. He explains that he has plans with his middle school classmates today. This makes her sad, and she asks him what plans and what's that about. He replies that he means he already made plans with them, so that comes first. She asks him if his girlfriend shouldn't come first, asking if she's not his number one. Her expression falls, and he can tell she's disappointed. He explains that he always used to be bored and never expected anything from his day-to-day life. He thought he just had to go along with the crowd and let the days pass him by. However, he's realized that even the little moments can be worth treasuring, and he needs to start treating people like individuals. He tells her that he really means this. Meeting her has opened up his world. He says that it's because she means so much to him that he wants to value other parts of his life, too. She looks into his eyes and says that he's just choosing them over her. If she means so much to him, she should be all he ever thinks about, not anybody else. She asks him if that's really so difficult. Didn't he accept her knowing how she is? She apologizes to him, saying that spending time with her friends takes priority, and then leaves. He's hanging out with his middle school friends, and one of the girls happily says that she had a great time hanging out with them. One of the boys adds still can't beat the middle school crew, and another one interrupts him, saying he's not part of the crew. Everyone is talking and enjoying themselves, but she notices that Haruka is silent. She asks him what's wrong, and he replies that nothing's wrong. She tells him that he can come to her for anything, and that she's got his back. He smiles and thanks her. Just then, Rinko texts him, asking if he has a moment to talk. Tokano asks her if she's sure about this, mentioning that she is happy that Rinko heard her out, and that she didn't actually have to do anything. Rinko replies that she's still got some thoughts of her own, and she thinks he might be in a particularly good position to talk about this. Tokano thanks her warmly,